A female journalist was shot dead in her home in Pakistan in what the police has called an honor killing. Shahina Shaheen, a Baloch journalist, was shot dead by two unidentified men in Turbad in Balochistan province. The police have said that Shaheen was killed by her husband. The suspect is absconding. Shaheen, who used to host a TV show as well as edit a Baloch magazine, was brought to a hospital where she succumbed to the injuries. The men who brought her to the hospital fled, but their vehicle was seized later. The police said that 3 bullets were fired at the journalist, who was also an artist and a women's rights activist.
Pakistan is already one of the most dangerous countries in the world for journalists. Attitudes are based on patriarchal control over women, which gives men the role of the protector, and is exercised through institutionalized restrictive codes of behavior, gender segregation, and the ideology which closely associates a family's honor to a woman's virtue, sexuality, and how she is perceived in society. In certain socially conservative families and conservative areas, a woman venturing out to earn money may be considered a damage to the household's reputation. Conditioned for generations, many women have also internalized this patriarchy, which lets them be subservient to men and continue to allow themselves to be defined by them. Patriarchal attitudes and institutionalized codes of behavior restrict the movement of women outside their home or their immediate environment. This is how space is allocated to and used differently by men and women. The most extreme restraints are found in parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. Men are afforded an unregulated access to public space. However, even in urban areas, less women are seen occupying the public spaces. In some urban areas, even inside the home, depending on how conservative the family is, there are restrictions on how women interact with male members of the extended family and strangers. For example, some women might not be allowed to interact with strangers at all due to the strict socio-cultural pressures and taboos associated with notions of shame and honor. Anyone who violates these norms and rules must be punished. And the most extreme form of punishment is the so-called honor killings, which are sanctioned by the community.
In tribal area, there are mostly male journalists, and you can see it is 2020 and we are just a few female journalists. Just imagine I am the first female journalist from my tribal district. So there are a lot of things from the women perspective that need to be highlighted, that has to be shown to the world. And as we are having most of the male journalists, they were unable to highlight any kind of story related to honor killing or any other female related issue. So when I joined journalism, I feel that there are a lot of story, a lot of things that are women perspective and that we need to tell. So I feel it was an opportunity for me to highlight this issue. If you talk about the villages in tribal area, it has the same structure. The architecture structure is based on patriarchy. And when you are making a whole gade, which is the word we use for a maximum of 8 houses surrounded by a thick wall and a very long wall, the tribal have to keep in mind. They have to make a hujra, a common gathering place for the male, where they can spend a quality time over there. But for the female, there is not such place in tribal area. They only have the home. They can visit each other home, but they can't use the hujra. Important things happen in hujra, whether it is a decision-making process that we call a jarga in Pashto. It is all carried out by male members sitting in the hujra. No female is here to participate them. Not allowed to participate in any kind of decision-making process. Even we come across a few decision-making process which are female, maybe sometime regarding to honor killing, if someone want to kill his sister or a cousin. Sometime in a very few cases they ask Jirga member, the elder male member, to help them carry out this process, but in most of the cases they kill them without informing anyone. And if hujra is dirty, then they close the door and ask the female member of their home to clean the hujra. They can clean, but they cannot sit. I struggle a lot to make my weaknesses a strength. Everybody have weaknesses, but when you come across a weakness and then you realize this is my weakness and you work on it, then it becomes a strength for you. I have faced so much criticism. Nobody was willing to talk to me, to give me any kind of interview, and did not want to cooperate with me. They were unable to accept me as a journalist. Even I faced criticism from my family, from my brothers, from my relatives. My relative used to criticize me from my brother that how you are letting your sister doing journalism. It's kind of bring disgrace to your family. It's not in our culture. Then my brother faced this kind of criticism. They come back home and they were angry at me. But I'm really thankful to my parents. They support me a lot. So I think it was enough for me. At this time, I was even facing psychological problem. I was going deep in depression because everywhere they do nothing but criticize me just because I'm a female and I'm doing journalism. And when I come home, we can say that home is a place where we can find peace and relaxation. So when I come home back, then my brother, my relative would criticize me. At the start, I was having criticism from all over, from the surrounding. I can't even I'm becoming emotional, remembering that it was quite difficult for me. At first, when I entered the hujra, it was kind of 20 and 18. So, like, everybody was so surprised how a female can enter a hujra and ask question and sit in a male gathering place, as they were thinking maybe the male journalist is coming. So even they bring the traditional green tea, everything was set up for a male member. And when I entered, they were staring at me. They were so surprised, like, she is a journalist? Even when I was asking questions, they were nervous and they were saying, could you please go home and ask any female? I said, yes, I will talk to female, but right now I want to ask the male member. So it was quite funny situation when they were staring at me and saying, obviously you are a journalist, but we haven't seen any female journalist. I said, yeah, I'm a first female journalist, but you will see a lot of female journalists in the future. Don't worry.